program.
Hi there, I'm Jessica Merrill. I do communications work for the Coalition. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Thanks. So we want to get us going. Just a couple of housekeeping for everyone. You should see on your screen options to expand your audio. So if at any point you lose connection, know that you can click the little arrow next to the audio and switch it either from computer, or it'll give you the information to be able to call in. Video has, I know it says video has been disabled. Some folks choose to be on video, some don't. Know that the entire webinar is being recorded. If you do not want to have your face on the recording, which will be uploaded to our resource library later, go ahead and disable your video. If you're comfortable with that, then you are great. You can see the number of participants, and so if you wanted to send a specific hello to someone, you can click on the chat. There's a drop-down arrow, so you can either message an individual, us as the host, or you can just type for everyone. And if you need to leave the meeting, we understand everyone is busy. Please feel free to do so, and know that this will be recorded, and we will send a follow-up. We're going to get started today with our opening circle. Then we're going to go into our topics, and we're going to be exchanging ideas and learning about the partnership's upcoming Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention campaign. We'll have some time for questions and answers after.
Yeah.
So for now, please type in your name, agency, and location in the chat box. Love to know where everyone is from.
I know, I was so excited.
Oh, you want to I want to.
But for me, yeah. For me, it takes like it takes us 45 minutes to get here, and then to Ventura it'll be like 20 minutes.
Go ahead and mute some folks, which will hopefully cut down on some of the background noise for the quality of the recording. All right, as the work's coming in, we have folks from all over the state, which is wonderful. Got folks from Human Options, South Asian Network, Interface, House of Ruth, Operation Care, San Francisco Department of Status on Women, One Love Foundation, the Keller Center Children's Advocacy Center in San Mateo, California Women's Law Center, Marjorie Mason Center, Catalyst, Haven Women's Center, Laura's House, and some other folks, Armstrong. All right, got some folks from Waymakers coming. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep us moving along so we can stay on task today. Wanted to let folks know, save the date. We have secured our locations and contracts for Building Change Together. What? And this year, for the first year ever, we are able to offer the training twice. So for folks who have previously participated in both of these trainings, we will have both the introductory track as well as the advanced track. For people who have not been able to attend before, we have two wonderful opportunities coming in March. So March 3rd through 5th, we will be at the Sheridan Gateway in Los Angeles. And March 24th through 26th, we will be in Concord at the Crown Plaza. So for anyone who is wondering, what is Building Change Together? So Building Change Together is our prevention core competencies training, and it really gives folks an opportunity to spend 3 days really thinking intensely about what is prevention, what is effective, and being able to analyze your own program or a specific strategy you're working on to look at where you can strengthen those outreach, and being able to think about, okay, how do I more deeply incorporate youth and social justice and the public health model into my prevention work? So each day if kind of think of it as, okay, what is it that we're talking about as day one? Well, so what is day two, where we go deep into cultural responsiveness and youth leadership? And day three, okay, what do I do with all this information and how do I take that back to my program? So we'll have a lot of opportunities for really phenomenal conversations. And again, we'll have preventionists from across the state joining us from many different organizations. We do have a capacity of about 30 for each track. So space is limited. We will have a hotel block, and registration will be opening in just a couple of weeks. So I will send some follow-up information for folks. And if you receive our Prevention Peer Network newsletter, then you've got some great information that has come out. Let me check our chat.
I'm just thanking you for making this available twice. That's so exciting.
Yeah, last year we had filled the training in 3 weeks. So we knew that there was a hunger for more training. So we have been able to see this twice this coming year. And just like any curriculum, we are looking at this as an ongoing process and a living, breathing thing. So we're going to be doing some revisions before we launch the training again in March. So for folks who are wondering who's going to be the presenters this time, so that'll be me, and also Melissa Espinoza from SAVE in Fremont will be joining us. Marcela Maggio in San Diego with the organization It's My Life will be joining us, as well as Ruthie Gutierrez with YWCA Silicon Valley, previously with the Marjorie Mason Center. So we have a really phenomenal team. We'll have some other special guests coming as well, so more to come. And we look forward to having folks there. If you are a member of the partnership, the big question is always, how much does this cost? So if you are a member of the partnership or receive Cal OES funding, then this is a free training. If you don't fall into that category, then it is only $90, which is a huge bargain. We will have some limited travel assistance for both trainings, so more information to come on that as well. Registration will open in December, so keep an eye out for that. And if you have questions, my contact information will be provided, and I am happy to help with anything that I can. Are there any questions about Building Change Together right at the moment? Okay. And we are going to go ahead and move forward, and I will turn it over to Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. So I'm going to share my screen instead, if that's okay. Then I can click around online. Okay, so sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, can everyone see that? Thumbs up? Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for having me today as a guest on the Prevention Peer Network webinar. Really excited to be here. And before I get too much into the campaign, I want to give special thanks to Miranda and Alejandra. They are the prevention experts on our team, and this campaign is largely informed by their expertise and their commitment to equity as well. So without further ado, let's get into Youth in the Lead. Okay, so the main components of the Youth in the Lead campaign follow largely what we did last year, which is asking youth what they're doing to promote healthy relationships, to prevent teen dating violence. This year we are actually adding some intersectional components, and we're creating a more comprehensive youth survey. And we are just about to send that out probably next week, so I'm going to give you a sneak peek into what that looks like. The quotes will be input into shareable social media images. So last year we had a ton of really rich quotes from young people, from advice to adults for making space for them and their leadership, to the ways that they are currently working with their peers to create an inclusive school environment with healthy relationships. So I'll show you a few of those for inspiration as well from what we gathered last year. And then videos as well. Last year, I believe it was House of Ruth that submitted some amazing videos. And so we're hoping this year that we can also, when we're in touch with some of the prevention programs with some of you prevention advocates, that we can discuss the possibility of some creative videos that we would love to uplift and highlight on our social media. So let me show you what we have for our survey. This was just finalized, and essentially we're going to be surveying youth in these different areas. I believe there are 12 of them. This follows sort of what we did with DVAM recently with Growing the Seeds of Healing and Justice. And we wanted to, in that case, ask survivors how they felt that communities and their friends and family members could make healing and justice more accessible for them, how they could be more supported. And so along that same vein, we wanted to ask youth about how they feel regarding, as you can see, accountability, economic equity or justice, gender justice, racial justice and decolonization, disability justice, embracing sexual orientation, faith-based support, reproductive justice, which is in addition to what we did during DVAM, environmental justice, also in addition, and the future. So these are some of the questions. And this gets to the heart of what youth are seeing every single day when they are working with you preventionists and supporting their peers with resources. They see harm committed. So they have ideas, really important ideas, as to what it looks like for their peers to who are causing harm to be accountable for their actions. Expanding on that, how can friends, family, and community members support young people who have experienced teen dating violence and or witnessed domestic violence? And so I'm just going to go through a few questions. Little typo, that's why this is our final draft and hasn't been put into the form yet. Gender justice, given that one of the root causes of teen dating violence is rigid gender roles, what changes in your community would enhance the feeling of acceptance for who you are? And we are trying to be intentionally very inclusive with the folks that we are inviting to take this survey, including people who identify as gender fluid, trans, two-spirit, and non-binary in this gender justice area. And so just want to go through a few of these questions. I was really, the future, this particular area was very robust when we received responses from survivors during our DVAM campaign. And so, we know that youth have the wisdom and expertise in their own schools and communities to move toward a California free from violence. And so we want to get their ideas. And this is an area where they can add those, in addition to talking about how adults can support their leadership as well. So that is the survey, and that will be coming soon. So please stay on the lookout for that next week. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. Inspiration. So I'm going to click this link, and it's going to lead us to last year's Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month campaign, Youth in the Lead. And so, we had some really wonderful examples of what youth are currently doing in their community that we wanted to lift up, because the partnership we realized we're in this position where we have access to policymakers, people who are doing systems change work, and we want them to hear directly from youth. So this is what it looks like for us, and we're continually striving to meet this goal to pass the mic to youth. So here's one example. Rather than talking about the abuses, I decided to teach my friends what a healthy relationship looked like. I applied to the school-wide TED Talk competition and won. So I had the opportunity to speak to hundreds of my school peers, and that was from Clara. And we have a bunch of other ones. These are shareable images, by the way, and this is what we plan to do when we receive the responses in our survey. We'll be having templates available to you so that you can use the survey in your own community, and we'll make that available in a Word document. So you can adapt that, you can upload it into your own form software, or you can use our quotes that we input into images as well. So let me see, another good one. Adults can help by putting us on the same equal level, because some youth don't feel like their opinion is valid just relate to them to earn their respect. And that was from Jonathan from STAN, for Families Free of Violence. We loved this video from House of Ruth too. So when you get a chance, click on this and view it. I think it's like maybe 1 to 2 minutes long, but we plan on sharing videos as well. Okay. So this is the approach we're using to elevate youth wisdom and expertise on teen dating violence prevention, and also these connected areas of social justice. And another goal of ours is to connect partnership members with other coalitions. So we're building really excellent relationships with the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color. Alejandra, I'd also love for you to talk a little bit about our relationship with folks doing paid family leave work as well, if you have a sec.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just thinking of a couple of the folks that are on the call today that are doing some local work that is also connected to our statewide. So I don't know how many of you know, we have our Delta Impact projects, and Sheridan from Stand Strong is on the call on the webinar today, and she's leading the Prevention in Sports program with Coaching Boys into Men, and their counterpart is going to be leading Athletes as Leaders. And this is also connected to a statewide work on listening to youth, putting youth at the center when it comes to prevention and the challenging norms that are also connected to sports. Then in Mariposa, we're also doing some work that's connected to shifting boundaries and creating a safer school environment. And this one has been absolutely fantastic in hearing from the youth and sharing that in rural areas, there's just a huge disconnect in hearing from youth and connecting to youth voices. And a lot of times they feel like there's nothing to do in the community, or they have maybe teachers who are not really being supportive. So what do you do about it? So how do we center these voices? So we want to lift all this up. And then with the, with the paid leave, we are working with partners that are generally non-DV, so California Work and Family Coalition, lactation programs like Breastfeed LA, and Parent Voices in California. And we're working together to, really interesting, just a side story, we were having a meeting yesterday and talking about how Parent Voices is struggling in getting folks to have access to childcare because the moms are really needing childcare. And then we have someone from the family caregiving world sharing that they're also struggling finding care for those who are caring for an older adult. And then here I am talking about this is all connected to relationships, because if we're stressed on caregiving and childcare, it impacts our work. And then the Parent Voices person said, and these kids feel it. The kids are stressing, they're upset, they know that their parents are upset. So how do we lift up these voices? So we were talking about sharing some of this work, actually in our Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention campaign, on connecting with others, highlighting each other's work, because this is all intersectional and we have to lift each other up. That was a lot more than you asked for, Jess, but
No,
it was all
that was
kind of
amazing.
connected.
Thank you.
Yes, I see that we have a question from Sarah Sullivan. When we try boosting images with text, Facebook doesn't approve them. Is anyone else having that issue? And we've had more luck including the quote in the caption and then using a stock image of some sort instead. Do you have any tips that might help them out?
I personally haven't encountered that, but I will do some research for sure, because that is a problem. Many people use text and images to make our images more accessible. We've begun basically like including the text in the body as well, just so that people using screen readers can read them as well. So I do think it's a great practice to also include those quotes in there. But yes, when you boost a post and do paid advertising, absolutely. I actually, now that I think about it, if it's a post that you want to boost, I do think they have certain limits for advertising that I don't think can be changed. I was thinking initially just an organic post, but yeah. And Sarah, did you want to say something? Or did someone want to say something? I feel like I interrupted someone. No.
No, Anna Garcia shared we convert them through Zamzar to a JPEG and don't have issues. So thank you so much for that tool. We will include that in our follow-up email, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, because we've gotten the same thing, and if you convert them to a JPEG, yeah, that's a good test that I can try too, to see if they'll accept those. So moving forward, campaign visuals. I just sent out a call for youth graphic designers. I think our members received it like 5 minutes ago. I was rushing to get it done before this. So hopefully folks can take a look at it. But yeah, for the first time, we realized, hey, you know, we've had these, you know, graphic design components to our campaigns. They're always really important, but young people have never participated, and that's a problem. We need to be more equitable and really center the voices of people who are doing the work in these communities and being most impacted by this issue of teen dating violence. So you'll see all the details in your email, and if you haven't received that, just like put your email in the chat and I'll make sure to get it to you. But I just want to show you the form. We have a really, you know, basically like a form that only includes, I think, 3 or 4 questions. So it's not too much that's involved with sending a proposal to us. But yeah, basically we're seeking graphic design proposals from young people aged 15 to 18. There's a $500 stipend. And when it says coming soon, that was created when I wasn't done with the form yet, but now I am. So I'm going to show you. Let's see. Here we go. So the deadline to submit a proposal is December 5th. And, you know, essentially the benefits include the stipend, but also Miranda, Alejandra, and I will work closely with the youth graphic designer to discuss, you know, the components of a statewide social media campaign. And so there will be that element of working together to, you know, to build their experience in this realm. And also, their final designs will receive widespread exposure among DV organizations. We'll be sending it to all of our members and be publicizing it, you know, very widely on social media, of course. So our timeline is that we have about 2 weeks to receive proposals, and on December 6th, we're going to be selecting one. On the 9th, we'll have a phone call, and then there will be just about a month to design the first round of materials, and I'll go through what those are. We will have 1 round of feedback as well. So we're looking for a campaign logo, some of those quote images for both Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, a campaign kickoff image, and an Orange Day image. So that's about it for kind of what the components are. The proposal asks for just a description of the artistic vision for our Youth in the Lead campaign. And before any of that, we ask applicants to explore the elements of our campaign. Oops. Okay. Can folks still hear me? Yes, okay. So yeah, basically we describe what the campaign is all about so that they can use it to inform what the artistic vision might look like to them. And we, of course, ask that orange is incorporated since it's the official color. We ask for some graphic design samples, if they have any, and a description of why they're proud of that piece or those pieces. And then just including any qualifications, like any software they can use or classes they've taken. So definitely please help us spread the word. You are our direct connection to talented youth graphic designers. So yeah, definitely appreciate your help in getting that word out. So ultimately, what is all of this great input from the survey, from videos going to? Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to lift this up. I want to make sure that folks are hearing. I think sometimes if we repeat it, it's like, this is so exciting. This is for you all to share with the youth in your community and invite them to submit a proposal. We want the campaign, the logo, the artwork to come from youth. So just want to share that again. It's available for everyone. You will get this information as a follow-up to this webinar, and as Jessica shared, this will go out to everyone. So thank you. We see the emails coming through on that. And I don't think we have any limitations as to who this goes to. So schools, youth, in your community, and the churches, and any connection that you have, get the word out. There are so many kids out there that are making amazing artwork. Yeah, get it out.
Yeah, because sometimes there's that feeling like it can only go to members, and the reality is, like the survey, it can go to everyone. So please feel free to share it with absolutely everyone, with your network, other folks that you're connected to. We would really like to hear from a lot of different voices.
Thank you, appreciate it. So what is all of this rich content going toward? Well, it's going to be a monthly calendar of activities and resources. So you'll see the sample quote images that I mentioned. You'll see some great resources, and Alejandra and Miranda, I know that we brainstormed some. I don't know if you want to talk about what a few of those might look like, including some of the voting stuff.
I just think it's a fantastic year to get youth involved. Right, November 2020 will be around the corner, and I know that as a teacher we would get youth involved in who would you vote for, and you know what are you liking of their campaign, and you know, items that relate to youth. So you can engage in discussions with them around the election in November. You can hear their voices. What's important to you? What would you want these candidates to be talking about? I know there's opportunities to actually engage with some candidates and sending questions out. But this is about, as I think one of the quotes that you highlighted, is ensuring that we put our adultism aside, and that we center on their voices of what is important to you, and help me understand why, and using our privilege as adults to create space for them and their voices. I think that's huge. Just ensure that they feel heard and that they are our equals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What other activities did we think of?
I know that youth are leading a lot of awareness activities in their communities, whether it's through their GSAs or recognizing some of those. I've seen a lot of youth involved with really phenomenal activism and trying to get people out and paying attention, and not just, okay, I see what's happening in front of me, but trying to give folks the tools. This is how you get involved. This is how you start changing that narrative. This is how we do our prevention work. Even though it may not be framed as prevention work, we know that is when you're bringing more people into the conversation and showing ways that people can get involved. That doesn't necessarily mean, you know, there's always that fear of, oh, if I get involved with a domestic violence or sexual assault agency, then I have to go through training, and that may be triggering or upsetting, or it just may not fit my schedule. Well, here's some ways you can get involved in the movement, and that the movement is impacting you in your day-to-day life, that doesn't involve having to go through training, in ways that you can continue these conversations out into the community. So being able to give those tools, and recognizing that youth are significantly more savvy than sometimes we give them credit for, as we sit in a very different space. So being able to just lift up the work that they're doing, and also giving them some additional tools to be able to take that further.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing some great examples across the world on youth leading in reproductive justice, environmental justice, speaking up about, you know, stop using plastic. It's not that hard. And what steps can you take? And then reproductive justice, that it's it's not just about STIs and STDs. It's so much more. It's about consent and their bodies. And so I think, again, as just mentioned, this is intersectional. We are not just talking about teen dating violence or domestic violence or intimate partner violence. This is about all of the sections that we cross with social justice. And youth are involved. Youth want to speak up. I mean, if there's something I love about youth is they want to talk, they want to share, and they want to be heard. So this is an opportunity for all of us, I think, to role model what it's like to center the community, to center the voices of the community. So this is huge. This is so exciting. I love this campaign. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Randa and Alejandra, appreciate it. So yeah, the monthly calendar of activities will be a great help for anyone who would like to, gain inspiration for posting a resource or using a resource to have a conversation with youth, or using an image to, uplift youth voices that may be seen by adult leaders in the community, so that they can learn how to make space for youth and understand the important work they're doing in their communities as well. So like I said before, the survey will be made available to you in a Word document. When we officially launch it, it's actually currently being translated into Spanish now. So when the launch is official, it will be made available in both languages. This is kind of a sneak peek. And yeah, the sample Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month resolution will be back again. Should be ready probably within the next month or so. So you can use that and adapt it to submit it to your city council members and or county board of supervisors. So outreach and awareness building, basically, since this is a survey, the success of it depends upon young people being told about it, spreading the word to them. So we encourage you, if able, to please spread the word to the youth that you work with. We'll also be getting in touch with many of you, I'm sure. We have so many great pieces of inspiration from you about how your prevention work is meeting the needs of your specific community. So we do plan on doing outreach as well, besides just, mass emails. But yeah, so collecting those responses, either sharing our survey or creating your own. Besides the social, yes.
Sorry, we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have clicked that off by mistake. Hold on one sec. Yep, I sure did. Okay. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I tend to do that like once every webinar. It's just my trademark. So another way, we've seen great success is basically learning from you. We've seen you create displays with either quotes or artistic, types of displays at your local library, city hall, or county building. If you do choose to use this survey approach, you might pitch it as a story to a local journalist and basically kind of show them all of the quotes that you've received, parse out any themes that have come out as well. That's a good way to raise broader awareness and especially get the attention of some of the policymakers in your community. And then it's always a great idea to share any information about what your organization is doing with policymakers, and invite them to visit your organization as well. Have them, meet with youth. This would be a great opportunity for youth to tell policymakers like your city council members, board supervisors, your assembly members or senators, basically for youth to tell them about what they're doing in the community to end violence, and to have the policymakers listen and take that back with them and hopefully inform equitable policies. So just a few ideas. Okay, so I think that's about it. I think it's a pretty straightforward concept, but with so much rich possibility from young people all across California. So I am very excited about it. Any questions in the meantime? And our calendar will be coming out in January as well, so stay tuned for that.
And if folks want to ask questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, which if you're on the phone is *6. You can also ask the questions through chat if you are feeling more comfortable with that. So we have options.
You know, one thing I forgot to mention, I can't believe I didn't, Orange Day is coming up on February 11th. We have already secured the space on the north steps of the Capitol. So yay, we are going to have another Orange Day rally. And it's going to be like last year where we had some amazing youth as the highlighted speakers from different organizations throughout California, and basically talk about the work they're doing in their communities and the role of legislators. We're making it ultra clear this year that their role is to listen and also very briefly pledge their support. So stay tuned for
that gives you
Orange
plenty
Day.
of months to buy your orange shirt and be ready for Orange Day. You find it on sale, you're thrift shopping, get that orange shirt, get that orange scarf. Yeah, this is exciting. And as questions start coming through, I would love to ask everyone, like, where do you see yourself connecting to the campaign? What efforts are you currently engaging in your community where you could partner up with someone, you could partner up with an organization or an entity to get them involved in this campaign? I would love to hear from you all. What's missing as well? Is there something that you noticed that we might have not engaged in or didn't talk about that you would see, that you would want to see? This is the opportunity to share that. Tell us what's missing and where would you like to get involved?
Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm Sheridan. I work at Stand Strong in San Luis Obispo, and I foresee getting the athletes that I work with involved in some capacity, whether that's athletes I work with sort of by proxy through Coaching Boys into Men, because it is a coach-led initiative, or some of our athletes as leaders, athletes as well with our girls program, have seemed really gung-ho about a lot of this kind of stuff. And I also foresee building on a partnership that we have with our local rape crisis center, RISE. They have youth organizing teams, and I think a few of them have an aptitude for graphic design. So I'm already excited to forward that on to them to see if they can get involved. So yeah, I think just like sending all of this information, including the survey and the call for graphic design, out to our networks.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Sheridan.
And Sheridan, it looks like Alejandrina Carrasco would love to connect with you about Coaching Boys into Men. So we will help facilitate that.
Can I take an opportunity for a shameless plug?
You, the shameless plug.
So Alejandrina is also interested with Sheridan on working on a Coaching Boys into Men community of practice. So this is something that will also be leading somewhere between January and February. So it'll be just in time for this campaign, but we want to get people involved in communities of practice, working alongside a rape crisis center or sexual violence org, because we know that these items intersect. So one of the community practices that is ready to start is the Coaching Boys into Men. So if you are interested in learning more about CBIM or prevention in sports, we're also going to be engaging with athletes with leaders. Let us know, because we want to get this going. And as just shared, this campaign is going to be available in Spanish, and we're going to be launching also a Prevention in Español community of practice. Español is Spanish, just in case. We're going to be launching a community of practice for preventionists who do work in Spanish, for us to engage in translating and making sure that the information that we are sharing is as culturally responsive as possible in Espanol. So if you're interested in that, let us know. But again, this is all connected, and it's a great way for us to think about how do you get youth involved in some of this work, and how do you center it in some of the work that we will be taking on. So we will be engaging in that conversation, and yeah. So that was my shameless plug. Thank you, Miranda.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks. Look, we have all the Alejandras engaged in CBIM. This is great.
We have some more folks who definitely want to join, so that's amazing.
So,
just for clarification, even if folks aren't actively doing it, but they're wanting to know more about it, would they be welcome into the community of practice?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is part of our statewide work is to reach those who are not funded. So we know that there are training opportunities based on funding sources, and part of our statewide efforts are to reach those who don't generally have access to training and technical assistance. So, and we're also working, again, across sectors. So, for example, the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color is not a DV org, and they are very much interested in prevention in sports and working in Spanish on prevention. So they're going to be working with us on these efforts as well. So yeah, thank you for sending the emails over. We'll make sure and connect with folks. And I think we've been doing this on these webinars as well, that we want to clarify that everyone can have access to an account, right, on member clicks.
For all members, if you are a member organization or part of a member organization, then all staff, volunteers, board members can have a profile. So if you either don't have a profile or you're not sure if you have a profile, know that I'm going to go through the registration and check everybody's names. If you don't currently have a profile, you will by the end of the day. If you are not part of a member organization, then I will make sure that you at least have a guest profile to be able to access some of the info, and we will include everyone, of course, in the information around the communities of practice that are coming up, the follow-up for today's webinar, as well as getting you signed up to our Prevention Peer Network newsletter. It's early in the morning. I've either had too much coffee or not enough.
And it's their birthday. It is Miranda's birthday. Happy birthday, Miranda.
Thank you.
I would sing happy birthday to you right now, but I don't think that would sound great on the recording. Feliz cumpleaños, Miranda.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So with the newsletter, we send that out once a month, so I'm going to make sure that everyone receives that, and that's accessible whether you are a member or not a member. Thank you. Happy birthdays from all across the state.
Birthdays are fabulous.
They are.
I love it.
I hope you leave early.
Without anyone mentioning it.
No. Nice try. Right? I mean, we got to wish Miranda a happy birthday. Preventionist in the lead. You do amazing work. You do a beautiful job supporting everybody in leading and advocating for prevention. So thank you. Wishing you a fabulous birthday. Fabulous new year. So yeah.
Yeah. So come join our group. We're wonderful people, and we want to hear from everyone and provide some space for folks to be able to connect. And just a shameless plug for myself, we will be having a Prevention Peer Network call tomorrow. We hold those on the fourth Friday of every month, and that will take place at 2 o'clock. So I will send that in the follow-up this afternoon as well.
And I would also love to hear what people have going on, what people have planned for Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. I gain inspiration from all around me, including many times our member programs. So please lay it on me.
Can we call on folks, or are folks comfortable sharing? Should we just call on people?
Just call on people.
Hey, the person I was going to call on, Sheridan, did it. Way to go, Cher.
Wait, was that you calling on me again?
No. I said I was going to call on you, but you did it. You were awesome. So thank
Great.
you. Who should we pick on?
We've got a few folks I see joining us from Haven Women's Center of Stanislaus this weekend. So the question was, what are some of your preliminary plans for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month? If you're willing to share, it can be through chat or. And Anna was quick. They are doing a color run early in the month, booths at our schools on Orange for Love Day. That's wonderful. So Operation Care is leading a color run. Can't wait to hear about how that goes.
Nice.
For in celebration, in order to bring awareness of teen dating violence, we're currently working on an HTPSA with a lot of our students, and this was originally developed over summer, and it has now brought us into the winter. We hope to have it done soon. It is student written, student filmed, student directed, so it's really a prodigy of students.
That's awesome. I would love to see that, Farah, when it's finished,
sure.
if you wouldn't mind sending it.
Absolutely. Once it's all done and edited, we'll get it over to everybody to know.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Farah. So Alejandra shared, we are getting ready to promote our awareness through art events. Sorry you have a sore throat, hope you feel better soon. And that same month, the Youth Advisory Committee will be fundraising and selling House of Ruth merchandise and promoting Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. That's awesome. Alejandrina shared escalation screenings. And Sylvia, we've been holding a TDVAM informational event in our county's juvenile hall. I love that you're doing that at juvenile hall, and hope you all are able to work with the incarcerated youth. Used to do that for years, and it's challenging work, but it is really, really phenomenal. Gabriella shared, we are doing a lunch activity every Friday in the month of February at one of our school sites, and each day will indicate a different theme towards TDVAM. That's great.
That sounds awesome.
Holly Grace shared, I don't know if they'll have everything ready by Teen DV month, but the Heart Group in Turlock has expressed interest in creating a podcast.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
That is badass. I love it.
Yeah.
Please keep me in the loop. I want to share everything.
Other heart groups have talked about beefing up their YouTube channel and putting out lots of videos on DV, healthy relationships and sexual assault. That's awesome. Heather shared, we're having youth take over our social media as a campaign. I love it. Also have a youth ambassadors program, which takes the youth putting together a project and doing it during TDVAM. The projects are varied and are youth-led, and we hold a couple of team conferences where our youth ambassadors lead a session. They also provide toolkits to local high schools.
Very nice.
We shared planning on bringing prevention education and healthy relationship education to 1,500 students in the Bay Area, as well as a national social media campaign. That's wonderful.
That's really cool.
You know, Jess, I was thinking of the messaging campaign and the messaging efforts that we are engaging in. So as people are typing in, what are you going to do, or how are you connecting to this campaign? At some point in the near future, we're having some technical difficulties, but we should be launching our prevention page on our website, and it is going to help highlight and lift up the stories of your work. I know several of you have already, I've reached out to you asking for some stories of what's working, what's not. I love Miranda's fabulous swaps because we always learn from things that maybe don't work out as planned. So on our new prevention page, we're also going to have information on what is prevention, because as we are wanting to partner up with those who maybe don't generally engage in some partner efforts, how do you talk about prevention with folks around in the community? Mm-hmm. How do you get youth and adults involved in prevention? How can we make our messaging less heteronormative? So all of this is going to be included on our new prevention page. And also, how do you support a new preventionist? We know that so many folks are out there in organizations as the only person leading prevention work. What about if you are a crisis advocate or a survivor advocate and a preventionist? How do you build the bridge between these two efforts? So all of that will be in our new page, which will be launching soon, right, Jess?
Yep, coming soon.
So this will be opportunities also to lift up what you're doing on Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month in February. And of course, we'll need to get some ideas and images from you all to help lift that up. So yeah, what are others doing? What would you like to see? What's missing here?
How about a sample script for students to use to address their school admins or school boards to propose policy recommendations? Yeah.
Great idea. Absolutely. Our previous Delta work under Delta Focus provided some resources around that, but I don't think we've ever had a sample script for youth that maybe where we could have spaces where they could adapt it, or there's some general areas and then they can add their own specific messaging. But I love that idea. Yeah, and I'll discuss it with folks here, with Miranda and Alejandra, and also our policy team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited.
So if folks, think of anything else or any other ways you need support, feel free to contact me and everyone else here. Our email is just our first name and then @cpedv.org. So definitely get in touch. I'll be contacting many of you for participation in our campaign, and just grateful for you for considering it, because I know everyone has great things already happening in their communities, and we just want to make sure to lift that up at the state level as well.
Swag is amazing. Unfortunately, so many funders don't allow for that, and yeah, we struggle to purchase this stuff with our grant funding. We know that struggle bus entirely too well.
Can I share a suggestion? So it has worked with Cal OES funding, and it has worked with CDC funding. So if you call it a training tool or a behavior modification tool, it can get approved. So the trick here is it has to be connected to an activity that helps modify behavior. So for example, if we have a spin the wheel in one of our workshops or in a class, and one of the questions is, what is a behavior in a healthy relationship? Or what does healthy relationship mean to you? And a youth is able to engage in a conversation with you, then you're like, yay, you get a mug. Or do you want a mug or a cup? Now it's a behavior modification tool because they are engaging with you in a conversation that helps shift the norms in a community. The other thing that I've done also in classrooms is you get youth to engage in some question asking, and if they're able to engage with each other, then those who did engage are able to walk away with something, right? So whether there's chapsticks, pens, lanyards, all of that stuff, but you have to, we have to move away from calling it swag because our funders don't like that. But if they're a behavior modification tool or a training supply, then you are able to get it funded. But you have to justify, how is this related to your work? How is it related to your scope? So reach out, let us know if you need some support, because this is where we all need to come together and be using the same language. Behavior modification tool, training supply, and how to shift that. So yeah.
Something else that was lifted up was, in talking about prevention, there's also a lot of effort for rehabilitation for offenders, and it helps to reinforce healthy relationship cycles. So this is absolutely prevention as well. We know that there's multiple levels of prevention, and also having, wanting to prevent further violence. So work that folks are doing with people who have caused harm to unlearn those behaviors and all of that, it would be amazing to hear about your work as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, especially I know Alejandra and I both have worked with incarcerated youth, and you are absolutely going to be working with people who have caused harm within that context. But the thing to remember is they're not that different from the kids that you're working with anywhere else, because the reality is that it's the difference of who got caught sometimes. That's not to say that everybody is using harm, but at some point in our lives, each of us has caused some type of harm. So then what are the options for restoration and restitution, and what does it look like to move forward and making healthier choices? And we would love to hear if folks are working with people who have previously caused harm and including them in their prevention and awareness campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that it was helpful with the behavior modification or training tools and supplies, because having things for people to walk away with is so important. It's just trying to figure out how to fund those.
That might be also a good conversation to have either on a call or a webinar, how to write justifications for training tools and modification tools, sharing language with each other. I think sometimes we have this idea that we are competing with each other for funding, and we tend to not share strategies with one another, and we got to move away from that. And I know preventionists are all about sharing resources and tools with each other. So if that's something that you are interested in the future, I think that would be a really good conversation to engage in on how are you fitting it into your scopes, how are you writing it into your applications, and I know that you can also request this later on. So midway, you want to incorporate a modification tool into a workshop, you can submit a justification or a modification to get that approved. So, and another piece is how many preventionists are involved in the grant writing process, in the application process, because I think this is also preventionists in the lead. We need to learn how to read and write a grant application and how to use words that help support our efforts. So if that's of interest, let us know, because I think that would be good. I definitely did not know how to read or write an application before, how to justify, and it's important that we share strategies with each other.
And I know I've heard from some folks how they learned to write was advocating on their behalf when their entire scope of work was changed without any of their input. So being able to then go back and you're not going to be able to unring that bell, but looking at, okay, going forward, how can I have a space within this conversation to be able to help it shape and frame the work that I'm going to be doing in the coming years. Would anyone be interested in creating a mechanism for our youth leaders to connect, network, brainstorm, and resource share? Maybe a webinar like this, but after school hours. Holly Grace, you are reading our minds. We have been having that conversation, the three of us, and trying to figure out what time would be feasible and creating some space. We know there's a lot of really phenomenal youth leaders. If there are folks who want to do that, and know that we have Zoom, The limit is quite high, so we would be able to have a lot of folks on, and I will just volunteer myself as being more than happy to help coordinate that and creating the Zoom. If the youth want for the adults to be in the conversation, then we can be there. If they would rather that we just step out, we can absolutely do that too, and they can just text us when they're done. And if they want it recorded so that they can have it for themselves, we can do that. If they would rather it not be recorded, they just kind of self-regulate how they're capturing that, then that can absolutely be an option as well. So that was one of our questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the activities we were thinking of, and how do we do it? How do we make this accessible to folks?
Yeah, would it be after school hours? Would it be on a weekend? What would be the most feasible and viable for the youth?
Yeah.
Because obviously 10:30 to 12 is not the winter break. Absolutely, that could work. So if there are folks on the call, and again, we'll send it in the follow-up, if you have youth leaders or youth that you're working with who may be interested, kind of an informal poll to get a sense of that, and email us. We may need to create a more formal mechanism just to make sure. But yeah, that can absolutely be an option. We're trying to figure out how could we do a youth conference in front of that.
Yeah, someday
it'll happen.
Anything else coming up for folks?
That would be awesome to connect youth leaders to one another. I know some of the youth leaders in the school clubs would be interested. Thank you for your concrete support of all of our big ideas. First, we are happy to leverage our position and resources to be able to support everyone's effort. Definitely need to have a call on talking about how to frame those things for the grant. So I think what we can do is create a simple survey question of are folks interested in bringing their youth leaders together, and we'll send that out with a follow-up email to everybody. So keep an eye on that for hopefully later today. If not today, then first thing in the morning. Anything else, folks? All right. Thank you all so much for joining today, for the birthday wishes, and for sharing all of your phenomenal information. We really look forward to continuing these conversations, and if you would like to join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. for an hour for a conversation on some of those upcoming plans and being able to share some of the work that you've been doing over the last few months, then I hope that you'll be able to join us. And like I said, I'll send that in the follow-up. I'll send that piece this afternoon to everybody, and we look forward to talking with you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.